Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful and exciting tutorial, we're trying to do some optimization and analysis of our browser history. So this is still following the same idea that we learned ago about optimizing trash. So in case you want to know more about it, you can check the links below or check my other channel on optimizing trash. So your browser history can also be seen in the same way, right? Can also be seen as trash. Right, something that you finish, you just throw it away. But there's a lot of insights and a lot of information you can gather from your browser history. Right, from your browser history, you can get a lot of treasure. So, irrespective of the browser, whether it's Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Brave, or Safari on Macintosh, you can still get information from that. Right. So let's see how to do that. Most of the history or the information about our browser is stored inside this location. So if I go back to on Windows, it is stored here, right? So inside your app data, then look up, then based on the particular browser, you find the data there, right? You can see all the history there. And the idea is that with this information, you can do some analysis. You can do some time-based analysis, some behavioral analysis to understand what the person likes to do most of the time, which we'll be exploring. You can also do some forensic analysis with this same browser history information, and you can also do some targeted ad marketing, right? Or ads marketing. So let's see how to do that from scratch. So if I go back again, as I said, most of our browser history is found within our app data. If you're on Windows, based on a different browser. So if I come back to my app data, you see that we have my Google Chrome here. And inside Chrome, we have my user data, and then I have all of this information here. So my crash data, there is a browser metrics, and there are so many stuff there. See browsing and the rest, right? So you can get information from these things by analyzing what is stored here most of the time inside SQLite. Perfect. Again, if I go out from here and I come and I check for something like Edge, if there is Edge or any other browser that I have, so Brave software, if I go to Brave software, Brave browser, user data, you can see that it has a lot of information here, right? So you can go through it. But let's see how to simplify it from scratch. If I go to default, so many stuff here, right? So all of this you can extract to get insight from it, but let's simplify. So I'll go back again to my workspace here, and let's see what we'll be doing. So by the end of this tutorial, I'm trying to do some browser history analysis in Python. We'll be doing some behavioral analysis in which you try and answer all of these questions, and then you see how to answer this. So most of the time, based on your browser, the location of the data, right, is found in these respective places, right? For Firefox, for Google Chrome, and then for the rest. So let's start with it. So there's a nice package that simplifies it. So these packages include, there are two packages. So let's do some installation. So in case you don't have the package, you can just install it with pip install browser history, right? So that is the name of the package in Python. So if I go to PyPy, and I check for browser history, so this is the name of the package. Right, so with this particular package, you can explore all of them. It simplifies it for you, right? So this is the package you'll be using in this tutorial. So let's see how to work with this. So pip install browser history, which is here, right? To install it on your system. So either this way or the other way. Okay, perfect. So I've already installed it, so we just move straight away to it. So let's start with it. So first, I'm going to import my libraries. So I'm going to make it bigger, and then let's load our packages. So I'll be importing pandas because we want to get the data as panda as a data frame, speedy, and then I'm going to import a browser history. So let's go with from browser history import. So we have from browser history import. The simple one is that you just go with import get history, and this, if you go with this option here, it will identify all your browsers on it, right? So in case I want to get all the history of it, I can just use the basic usage. I can just go with, let's say, the outputs that I want, then I'll just go with my get history. So this identifies the browser that you have, and then I can say my histories is go to my outputs.histories. Then I can look through it. So for history, in histories, let's print it. So this is the basic usage, right? So if I go with this, so it's identifying all the browsers that have been installed. So Chrome browser is not installed, Opera is not installed, Vivaldi is not installed, then it finds the browser that is installed, right? But in case you don't want to use this approach, you can simply go and then use browser specify browser to use, right? So in that case, I'll just go from my browser history dot browsers. So we have browsers like this. So from browser history dot browsers, I can now import Brave. So we can import the other browser. So let's import Brave browser, and then I can now do some analysis on it. So if I do DRL Brave, you can see that we can identify, we can do all of these things. We can get all the bookmarks, you can get all the, you can fetch bookmarks, you can fetch the history, you can get the history because most of the data is stored in SQL format, SQLite, and then you can get the path for where it is, right, in case you want to know the path of the browser. So for Macs, for Linux, for Windows. So I can also do something like Brave dot Windows path, and now this is going to specify that, okay, my Brave browser is found within this location here, right? Perfect. So if I go and I check this, this is where the data is found, perfect, as we saw here, right? Brave. So this is what it's going to fetch to analyze. Okay, so now let's see how to get the information on it. So simply, I can get all my history using this option. So let's get the history. So let's fetch history. Just go with my B for Brave, and then I will just go with my output. It's going to be B dot fetch history. So we can fetch all the bookmarks in case you have bookmarks, fetch history in case you want to fetch all the history. And then once I get the history, I want to return all the histories there. So output dot histories. So histories, right? I can spell histories. Yeah, perfect. So this is all. So if I do this, it's going to say tell me the output is supposed to output. It's going to go to my browser, this location here, and then fetch the history there, right? And now I can, if I go with history now, it's going to come out as you can see from here. All these are all the stuff I've been doing on my Brave browser, which is very personal, but yeah, we can share it and learn. So you see that I have the timestamp, right, which is the date, and then we have the title and then the URL, right? So this is how it comes. So with the same idea, we can convert this into pandas because it's a tuple. So let's convert this entire stuff into pandas so that it's easy for us to manipulate, right? So because since it's DateTime object, we can be able to, since there is timestamp inside, we can convert the entire stuff into something that we can use. So let's see how to do that. So the simplest approach is that we can simply loop through the entire stuff. So the same thing that we had, we can actually loop through it and get it as a dictionary, and then pass that dictionary into pandas, right? So this same thing we have here, we can now loop through it. So let's convert to a dictionary, right? So this is, we want to convert this entire stuff into a dictionary and then to pandas. So to do that, I just say my history data. It's going to be a list like this. Then for history in my his, so let's give it a better name because see, something like this is better. And then histories, so that is explicit. So for history in my histories, what do I want to do? I want to convert them. I want to unpack them. So I want to unpack the tuples, and then I do that by just going to my timestamp, because as you see, there's a timestamp, the first step, the timestamp. Then the second one was the title. So if I go back here, there's timestamp and the URL and then the title, right? So then my URL, then the title. Then I'll just go to history. So I'm unpacking the entire stuff. Then I'm going to append to my list. This we can optimize using this option here. So let's go with the same thing here. So now I'll say my URL. We can call it as, let's say, URL. It's going to be URL and then timestamp going to be my time stamp, and since we have time stamp, we can do all the time series analysis on it. And then title is going to be my title, right? So something like this. So we have my timestamp here, we have my so something like this, right? So we have the URL, the title, and the timestamp. And once we get this, let's close this, and then we can now return it, right? So if I save it, if I run just getting everything, so if I check this one out, you see that now this is now a dictionary, right? And with this dictionary of a list of dictionary, we can convert this to pandas. So let's convert to pandas. So to that, I just go with my df, then pd.dataframe. Now pass in my story data, and then with this, if I go with head, we can get it in a nice format. And with this option here, we can now do some analysis, right? So we have the URL, we have the title of the link we went, and we have the timestamp. So to be able to do more analysis on this particular data that we have to convert the date, the timestamp, right, to be able to do more analysis on it, right? Because the entire stuff is time series. So let's see how to do that. We want to be able to answer these questions, right? So the counts of visit and titles, and then which type of site is frequently visited. So I'll copy this, and let's do the first. We do the behavioral analysis first, and then we do the time series analysis. So let's do some conversion, right? So let's do some conversion to time conversion of timestamp to datetime. So let's do those things, and then we will answer our questions here, right? So to do the conversion, I can just go to my df, then I have my timestamp here, and then I can just convert it to pandas pd.datetime. So there is to date time, then I will pass in my column. So let's pass in this timestamp here. So by doing this option here, now I have my timestamp, right? So if I check initially, if I go back and I check this with df.datetypes, so we have all of them are objects, and this looks like timestamp, right? But you need to convert it perfectly well. And then we also want to get the day. So let's get the date. We also want to get the day name from the timestamp. We also want to get the hour, right? And then we also want to get the month, right? So these are the stuff we want to do. So to do the same thing, I'll just go with my date. You can just call it as date, and then I'll pass in here, because you have already converted it to datetime. I can now do timestamp dot dt, right, datetime, then the date, right? So in case I want the date, okay, so this is going to convert to the date, and I'll do the same thing for the day name. I'll do the same thing for the hour, right? And the same thing for similar to month. So we have the day name, so I can just say day name, and this will be not the date but day name. So there is day name, right? So we also have this option here, and then we have one for the hour. I'll convert this one to hour, so dt hour. So we have the dates, the day name, the hour, and then for the month we can also convert it. So we can just do something like this to period, and the period here is month, right? So M for month. So this is going to be the month. If I run it now, it's that's modified all of them. So if I go back and I check my data frame again, so now we have the timestamp. From the timestamp we have gotten the date, which is the first part here, and from the date we have gotten the day, which is this one here. So all of them are Tuesdays, and then we have gotten the hour from here, which is here, and then a month, right? We can also get the month name in case we want, right, from this entire stuff, in case you also want to plot it. think we can do that also. Perfect. So now let's see how to plot this. So let's do some basic analysis. So we want to get the count of visits and titles, right, in our data set. So let's do that. So it's going to be, what is the count of visits? So visits here in our case refers to the number of URLs that we have gotten. So that is mostly the visit. How many of these sites have been visited, right? That is the basic understanding. So to that, you can simply do this. So URL count is going to be my df URL, right, dot value count. So we want to get the count of visits per them. So we're checking the uniqueness of them and then get their count, right? So if I go back to URL count, you can even plot it. So this is it. So the highest, the one with the highest that I've gotten is this one here, right? 68. I can even plot it, right? In case I want to plot, I can also do the same thing. We can plot this one, but if I plot it, it's going to be so huge. I can do something like this, but largest, and I want the 10. We got the first 10, and I can now plot it. So let's plot with kind is equal to bar, so that you see the plots. So this is the plots for it. So these are the sites I've visited. So I've visited IBM MLOps most often, that is the highest, followed by movies to watch, followed by L, followed by brave.com, what's new, because it's the default one, movies to watch, and then the rest, right? So with this idea, you can see the most visited website. So what is the count of the visit? What is the most visited website on it, right? Perfect. So this gives us what is the most visited site, right? That's one I visited most of the time. Let's do the same. So you also want to do some splitting. So let's count visits to each domain. So to get the domain out of the entire data, we can just split it, right? So I can just go to my df URL, right? And I'll just want to split them. So apply lambda x, and I'll just go with s.split. I want to split the domain, right? So we have the first two, so I want to split it, and then we want to get the other ones. So in that case, we can do something like this to get the count of the domains. So let me make it simple like this. Around it, you can see that this is the count. So for every, I splitted it, I split it by the URL, and then I got it. So IBM, then topics, and then LMOps, right? So this, you can see that this is still the highest. And then movies to watch is also another one here, right? This is per the domain. Okay, so these are some of the stuff we can also do. Of course, there are a lot of things we can do from this analysis. We can also structure it, right? So the most visited, we saw the most visited, so this is the most visited, right, for the top 10 most visited links. Yeah. Now let's do some other analysis in case I also want to do some behavioral analysis. But before we do the behavioral analysis, let's see the question that we have. So what type of site is frequently visited? So what is the type of site I frequently visit? So what you are trying to do here is that we're trying to do some behavioral analysis. We can group the sites, right, into different categories and then map them and then categorize them. So by doing so, we will be able to find which type of site I mostly visit. So let's see how to do that. So to be able to do that, I will first of all have to extract the URL, right, the domain name from the links. So I can simply I have a simple function to help me do that. So we got the domain. I want to extract the domain, right? I want to only extract this, just as we have here, only this one from the link. So extract the domain. I'm just using regular expression. So what it's doing, that it's going to check the HTTPS or HTTP, take off the www, and then return only that data, right? So in case I pass in something like extract domain, and I pass in, let's give an example. Let's say I pass in something like this link here, so it only return movie to watch is, right? So if I go back here and I pass it here, see that now it gives us a movie to watch. So this is what we want. We only want to get that. So I want to apply the same thing to all the data. So df, and let's go to this domain, and then I will apply it here. So df URL dot apply, then lambda x, then I'll pass in my extract domain. You can also use niche test to help you do that. So domain, then x. If I run it now, we have my domain here. So if I check it out, .head, so we have my domain names here, right? And by this idea, I can now start categorizing. So to categorize them, I can have a list of all the different categories. So I can add more sites to it. So let's have my list of categories. So Coursera, Stack Overflow, Pizza, edX, Udemy, all of these things are mostly for learning, right? Entertainment, Netflix, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube is also for learning or entertainment. And we have communication. You have eBay, we have movies to watch, we have something like Hello Netflix is entertainment plus also movie. Funny, there is Disney Plus, there is movies to watch. We can add more, right? You can add 1, 2, 3 movies. I think movies. Yeah, this is another website. You can also add many streaming websites like Twitch. Twitch, as much as you want, right? And in case you want, you can also add more stuff there, right? You can also add different tools there. So we can add one. Let's add GitHub. GitHub is education, GitHub, right? And then yeah, something like this, right? So you can add more to it as you wish. You can also add adult content in case you want to do analysis on that. Okay, so this is my categories, and now we're going to create a simple function. So I'll call this categorize website, Webanzeiger of Deutsch, and I'll pass in my domain. Then I'll say for category, and then domain in my categories dot items. So if any is a very powerful function. Domain in domain for D in domains. So what you are saying is that if any of the domain that we are getting is found within our domains, then return that category. So this is a simple way we categorize it. You can also train a machine learning model to do this, right? Not an LLM. An LLM can do it, but it's an overkill. Just a simple machine learning or simple function. So this is a simple function that we have. Now if I run this categorize website, so if I do something like this, categorize on, let's say, do I have Google there? Let's say Amazon.com. So if I run this is uncategorized, right? Uncategorized. I'm surprised. Yeah, I call it Amazon, right? I think for it to work very well, I have to make sure that I am passing this well, like this domain here. We don't have the s and a com, right? Otherwise it will not categorize it well. So we have to ensure that this is well cleaned. Otherwise, see that even this one, it did not find it well, right? It was not able to find this well. So movies to watch. Yeah, so something like this, right? So you can add more, you can make it better. You can make it better. If I run this, I'm surprised it's not working because Amazon is here, right? Categories. Hopefully my function is the correct function, because I'm surprised it's not working. Okay, yeah, I see why. See why the function is failing. Now if I run this, you should get shopping, right? Perfect. Right, because for category domains in this, right? Perfect. So that is a simple function. Now let's apply this function to our category. Yeah, let's call this category. Then here df, then I'll pass in my domain because that's what I want to apply. Then we'll go with my lambda. You can just go without this lambda, you can just apply the function like that, but let's categorize website. Then I'll pass in my x. Then let's run it. So now if I check it like this, so we have those that are categorized and those that are not categorized. And now with this we can do a plot. So this will going to give us a which type of site. Do I visit the most, right? With category of site. So I can just do something like, let's import Cbon. Let's use Cbon to plot as SNS, and then SNS.count plot. And I'll pass in my data as my df and my x as category. And then I will now plot. And then it's going to analyze it, and you can see that's funny. I have uncategorized, right? And there is a lot of streaming. Yes, you can see that there's a lot of streaming, right? So I stream a lot. Not stream as in stream, but watch movies a lot. Right? But we can make it better. We can make these ones better so that it's not just simple like this. We can simplify this one and make the domain better, because it seems that this one is not perfect, right? That's why it is returning most of them like that. So for example, like if I change this one to better, if you make this one better, you can get better information. Okay, so this is some simple behavioral analysis we can also do. Let's see some other questions we can also ask. We have seen this, and this idea can be used to do ads marketing, right? Perfect. Let's answer some of these questions. Since we have converted our data into time-based or time series or into DateTime, let's see if we can do some time-based analysis or time series analysis, right? And these are some of the questions we can ask. So which day has the highest URLs? We can check that one out and figure out which of the days has the highest visit, right? So how do we do that? So simply we can just group by. So we can group by the day, we can also group by the date name, right? So there are lots of things we can do with this information. So let's see how to do that. So I can simply do a simple visit per day, right? So to do that, I can simply do my visits. So visit here refers to visiting a URL. Then day, we have my date dot value count, and then I can just sort index to get the first one up. And then if I do visits per day, you can see that we have it here, right? Perfect. And this we can plot, right? We can also find the day with the highest visit. So which day has the highest visit? We can use this approach to figure it out. Perfect. We can also plot this, right? In case you want to plot this stuff, you can also plot it. But if I plot it, dot plot the kind is equal to, let's do a line plot. So this is how it works, right? So this is how my browser or my visit is. At the beginning it starts here, then it goes up, then down, then it goes up. And some of the days I had up to 70, right? Which is very interesting. So you can also see my trend of visits. So at the beginning it was here, then it went up, then it comes down, then it goes up, then it comes down. So it's like so funny. Perfect. And then we can also apply the same idea to which of the day. So which day of the week, right? So we want to use the day, right? So this time we're using the day name to help us with that. So to that, I just go with my day name column, as we already know. Just to recap, what's this? And with the same idea, we can now plot which of the day has the highest visit. So which day had the highest visit? This is like day of the week had the highest visit. And we can simply do the same thing. So visit per day name, using the day name, then my day name as we had it, dot value counts, then let's sort index. We can also do without sorting, right? You can see that Friday is the highest. So why do I have a lot on Friday? So you have to investigate, right? We can also plot this. So let's plot this. So see at SNS dot count plot. Then I'll pass in my data df. This thing we did here, we can plot it simply using Seaborn by passing it here. So day, and my s is going to be the day name, and this is going to give us a very nice plot. So you can see from my browser history that I spend a lot of time visiting a lot of links on Fridays and Saturdays, which makes sense because I work, right? So I am free mostly free on Friday. I mean after work. Then Saturday, most of the time I don't go anywhere, so I spend a lot learning and reading and stuff, right? So that's why this Friday and Saturday are high. Then Sunday is a little bit okay because I go to church and I come back, and then I have to prepare for Monday, right? And Thursday is also high. I'm surprised. It's higher than Tuesday. The ones that is very least is Wednesday, right? So maybe there's a lot of meeting. Oh, Wednesday I go for classes, right? I go for classes here. Now I understand. I go for class on Wednesday, I go for class on Monday, I go for class on Tuesday. That explains why. Thursdays, Fridays are free. Okay, so you're learning a little bit about me. So with this stuff we are doing, we can gather more information about the behavioral pattern of a person. Right, so this is treasure. There's a lot of details, right? Very cool. Now let's move on from here, and then let's see the counts of visit. So we were able to answer these questions. Let's see the questions we have answered from this data. So which day has the highest? We have noticed that it is Friday. What's the number of visits per day? So we want to know the number of visits per day, right? And then we can also do which time hour has the highest number of visits. So which time within the day has the highest number of visits. So in that case, we can do another stuff. So the number of visits per hour, right? And then per day. So how do we do that? So we can simply group them. We can just do group by, and let's put it here. So this is it. So what I'm doing is that I'm grouping by the date and then the hour, because I want to find the number of visits per hour per day, right? And then the number of visits. And then if I run this one, now you can see that I have the date, the hour, and then the visit. And we can also plot this. We can plot this to get more information about it. In case I want to find, so what is the average number of sites I visit per hour, right? So this one we have is for every date that we have, and for every hour this is the number of visits, right? So I want to find the average number of sites I open or I visit per hour, and that can be simply done by just doing the min, or not the min but the max of this column called visit. If I go with visit, I want to find the mean. If I go with the mean, so I visit 7 sites per hour. On average, I visit 7 sites per hour. Okay, so let's plot it. So we want to plot this data that we had here, which is cool. So how do we plot this? So let's use some data visualization of a number of visits per hour per date, right? So I want to do that. I'm using Plotly, so let's use Plotly. Import plots.express SPS. We're using Plotly to help us plot this stuff. So let's go with my visit. So there's a way we can plot this, right? We can plot it using HeatMap. So let me copy this and then explain because of the time. So what I want to do is that I am getting the visit per hour per day, this one here. Then I'm creating a pivot chart because I want to plot it as a heat map. Then I'm indexing it on the date and then the hour that we have, which is this hour here, and then the visit, right? So that you see for the whole lifetime of my browser history, you want to find, and we are following Heno, right? So let's plot this. And if I plot this, you're going to see a very nice plot, which is very cool. So this is the day of the week and the hour of the week, and this is my number of visits graph, right? So it's a very nice heat map. You can see from here that some of the days is 0. Some day here I visited 36 sites within an hour. On the 16th, I think I was on holiday. Oh no, this day was the day I finished my exams. Yeah, I think it was a holiday after. Yeah, I finished exams. So if you finish exams, you visit a lot. And so you can see all of this information here, which is very cool, right? We can also make this plot better. This same plot we had done, we can also plot it with Seaborn. So this is nice, but we can also plot it with Seaborn using this approach here. And let me explain the same idea, but we are using a pivot table, using converting it to pivot table, and then we are using Seaborn instead of Plotly to plot it. The same idea. And let's see how it looks like. Okay, so this is similar to what we had here, right? But this is interactive, and this is it, right? So for the day of the week, and then you can see my visit per hour, right? Perfect. Let's also use them. There's also another stuff we can also do, right? We can also visit per hour and day by looping through the entire stuff, right? So this is good, but we can also do another better plot with this information here. Okay, what I want to do is that now we have per day and this is per time, but can we instead of using dates, can we use the day name to do the same thing? Instead of using the dates, can we use the day name to help us with this information? So I will try and see if we can do that using the day name, which is going to be, I want to get the count of visits per, I can't spell visits per hour per day of the week, right? So this means we are using the day name. So in that case, I can just go with the same thing we did here. Instead of using date, we are using the day name, right? So instead of the dates, previously we are using day name, and then we are running it. You can see my structure here. So now we have not just the date, but we have the day, right? So Friday, I have this, right? Perfect. And then I can now plot this as we did it previously. So let's do the same plot we did previously. So similar plots, but the only difference is that we are now using the day name. Let's plot it using Plotly. And this is very nice, as you can see from here. So on Mondays, so for every hour, so this is it. And then you can see that here is the highest, right? So Friday, it's funny. I visit number of visits per hour in total, right? For all of them. Very cool. And this is from the beginning till the hour of the day. So in the morning, I think at this time I'm asleep. This time here I'm asleep, and I'm also asleep. So here can't even do anything funny. And then at 10 sometimes, and then you can see that this is the time I'm awake, right? Based on, if you see on Friday, around this time. I think sometimes Fridays too, maybe I work from home or something or whatever. Yeah, it's a lot of information. But you can see from here a lot of information, right? So I'm doing here, which is very interesting. And then you can also see from here, right, on Saturdays around from 8 in the evening, I do a lot of reading and browsing in the evening because it's Saturday, and then Sunday is church, right? Perfect. And here I sleep. So funny. So funny, you can see it, right? So this is a lot of information, right, I'm giving out. So you can see that you can do a lot of analysis on this same plot we did. You can also do it in case you don't want it in heat plotly. You can also do the same thing with matplotlib and seaborn, right? Exactly the same above is what we are seeing here. Perfect. So this is some of the analysis you can also do. Of course, there are a lot of things we can do. There's so many stuff we can also do. In case you want to also know the time spent, like how long do I spend for each website? So do I spend on each site, right? How long? So the simplest way to do that is to use diff. So you can do shift, right? Shift 1, so in which you take the first one and you take it from the other one. So you have to sort it so that the time is correctly sorted. So we can do the same thing here, and we can also plot it, right? So let's do it here. Just copy the code to save us time. So I have my data, I'm sorting by the timestamp. I'm storing inside a variable called df2, and then I'm creating the time spent on each URL by subtracting the previous timestamp, right? So it's going to pick the previous minus 1, right? The previous and the next one to get the difference. Then I'll handle the last row where I can't find any data, and I'll convert the entire stuff there. So now if I go with df2, you can see from here, so this is the time spent, right? And the time spent in seconds for every day. For the time I spent, I can do an average to find the average time spent per site by just coming here and doing df2 time spent. That's me. If I do this, so I don't know, this is number of seconds, and then seconds, you have to convert this one. You have to divide this by 60 seconds. So I spent, oh, that is quite interesting. I think I have to calculate it all because 60 seconds per hour, so 360. Yeah, 17 minutes, right? Something like that. 17 minutes per each site, right? Something like that. So that is some insight you can get. You can also plot this, right? So let me know if you can plot this, and then let's see what you can do with it. So these are some of the analysis we can also do with this data. So you have seen how from our browser history we can gather a lot of information and some insight to build a treasure, right? So you've seen how to do some analysis. You can also do forensic analysis to know which type of site I visit. You can do so many analysis with it, and you can also use it for targeted ads, right? So now you know that I like to read and then sometimes to stream, and then the rest, right? So I'll not give you the data because it's personal, but you can check it out, right? So thank you for watching the tutorial. In case you have any questions or contribution, you can put in the comment below. There is also some other plots you can also do. Of course, there are many analysis you can do, but this is just to give you an insight of what is possible. So one plot you can also do that you can also do visit per hour, and then you can plot it in this way, right? So that you get to see the hour of day and then a different number of visits, right, for each and every of day. So this is another plot which is similar to this plot here, right, and similar to this plot. But of course, there are lots of things you can also do, right? So thank you for watching the tutorial. See you another time, and then stay blessed.